Now we'll get to my favorite part of the show, and that would be the awesome Facebook group. Facebook questions, if you will. We have an awesome Facebook group, facebook.com/group/nerdcavenetwork. You can go there. I post a thread every week saying, we're looking for topics or questions. So if you want to ask them, then just leave them here. So we've got quite a few here. Let's see. Oh, we're actually doing this live. Adam Gumbert, I'm too late, right? Let me answer him real quick. Let's see. If you post now, I can answer it. I'm actually recording now. Haha. So we'll give him a few minutes to respond. Let's see. Derek Daniel, who I actually finally got to meet in person at Extra Life, which was very nice because we haven't really been in the same place before. Anytime he's been on the podcast, I haven't been able to. So I like to call him Earth 2 Derek, or maybe I'm the Earth 2 Derek and he's really the prime one. So I don't know. Derek Daniel asks, how was your experience with Extra Life? Short answer, Extra Life was great. I know I can speak on behalf of Zach and Robbie that I felt absolutely honored and privileged to be able to take part in that. I thought it was a really great cause, and getting to do something that we love to do and something that, to toot our own horn, I think we're good at. Really, it was just such a cool thing to do, and using, our talents and our skills to help raise money for sick children, I think was really cool. And Sacred Heart Hospital here in Pensacola is a great children's hospital. To kind of tell a little personal story, I work with the Pensacola Blue Wahoos, our local minor league baseball team affiliate of the Cincinnati Reds. Once a month during the season, Sacred Heart will do this presentation or program called Home Run for Life. And they will feature a kid who is beaten, whether it be cancer or some type of illness that they thought was terminal. And we'll tell his story over the PA, show a little slideshow. The kid will come out with his family, and he'll get to run the bases like he hit a home run, and he'll get to high-five, the players from both the Wahoos and the visiting team, the coaches, managers, and everything. So Sacred Heart is a fantastic hospital. They're one of, if not the best hospital in town. So getting to do that, I hate that I couldn't do more, but the few hours that I did get to do it was a lot of fun. Me and Zach played WWE 2K17 for a while. We played the Jackbox games with Mr. Gumbert, and, we had Jeremy Branch from Be Terrible Productions. We had Chris Kiku from Nerd Life. And then we had our good friend Derek Daniel come by, and we had quite a wide list of people who came by and helped out. So I really appreciate it. I really appreciate Jeremy, Chris, Ashlyn, Robbie's sister for helping out, Derek Daniel, everybody who took time to do that. It was really cool and one of my favorite things that we've done. So I hope we get to do the Extra Life next year. I definitely think we will. It's just such a great cause. Getting to help others, that's something that I'm pretty big on. Let's see. Derek Daniel also asks, non-spoiler review of Doctor Strange. Non-spoiler, Doctor Strange, absolutely fantastic. I went opening night. Totally loved it. The visuals were unbelievable. They were one of, if not the best visuals I've seen, one of the best visual movies that I've seen. I would put it right up there with Inception. I would put it up there with the original Matrix, even though the Matrix was made in the late 90s, but it was so groundbreaking as far as visual content in a movie goes. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch absolutely killed it as Doctor Strange. I would put his casting up there with Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. A lot of people will say, well, Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark. Well, to me, Benedict Cumberbatch is Stephen Strange. It was a little slow in the beginning, but I think once Strange started his teachings from the Ancient One, it really picked up the mind trip that she sent him on was, to no pun intended, out of this world. It was just, looks like Adam might be typing. Oh, there we go. Good job, Adam. But anyway, Doctor Strange was great. I actually thought Tilda Swinton did a good job as the Ancient One, even though her casting was met with a lot of criticism because the Ancient One is not a white female. And yeah, sure, they didn't stay accurate to the book, but I still think that Tilda Swinton did a pretty good job for what role she had. But this was Cumberbatch's movie. He owned this role, and I remember reading that he was Marvel's only choice that they wanted for this role. And if you look at Doctor Strange in the comic books or in most artist rendering of Doctor Strange, he does look like Benedict Cumberbatch in a way. And I was happy to see him. I haven't really seen him in any type of major motion picture. I haven't seen the Imitation Game yet. I think the last major movie I saw him in was Star Trek Into Darkness, which that was a few years ago. But the Doctor Strange kind of followed what I call the Marvel formula. And I was sitting there, I was watching it, and there's quite a few funny parts in this movie. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, this has a lot more humor than I thought. But then I really started thinking about it, and I'm like, well, all the Marvel movies have some type of humor. They're more family-friendly. So that's really kind of what the Marvel formula is. You have the origin story. You have the little bits of humor sprinkled into it. And then you have, kind of an average villain. The hero wins, and then it sets up the sequel. Nothing wrong with that. It has been working for Marvel since Iron Man 1 came out. That being said, that's been a major weakness of the Marvel movies, is none of them really have that strong of a villain. And I don't know what it is, because there are so many great villains in the Marvel universe, but they just can't seem to nail most of them down. Is really the best villains have been in the Netflix shows. Like Vincent D'Onofrio is great as the Kingpin. David Tennant killed it, no pun intended, as Kilgrave. And I haven't really watched Luke Cage yet, but I've heard good things about the villains from that show as well. So I don't know what the difference is between Marvel being able to nail it with the villains on the Netflix shows, but kind of missing with the movies. And I think really the only exception to the movies has been Loki. But I think we're only really going to see him one, maybe two more times. I'm hoping Thanos changes that. I'm really excited about seeing Thanos once he gets the Infinity Gauntlet. I think Josh Brolin's going to own it. And Thanos is hopefully going to be the badass that he needs to be. Short, I guess quick review or quick overview of it. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably give Doctor Strange an 8.5 or a 9. I would put it in my top 5 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. I'd probably put it in the 3 to 5 range. I still liked Guardians of the Galaxy and the first Iron Man better, but I actually liked Doctor Strange better than Civil War. I liked it better than quite a few of the movies, honestly, and it's been doing really well in its opening weekend. Let's see if where was the it made $85 million in the United States its first weekend. That's pretty good for November. And also kind of a news story that I missed, but Michael Giacchino, who composed Doctor Strange, pretty good score by the way, is actually going to be doing Spider-Man Homecoming, which is up there on my most anticipated movies of 2017 list. But definitely go see Doctor Strange. It was very, very good. Cumberbatch is one of the best Marvel characters, best Marvel casting that they have done, up there with Robert Downey Jr. You won't be disappointed. I'm glad that this movie has kind of gone under the radar and is really surprising a lot of people. It's really kind of like Marvel meets Inception, because some of the visuals are very Inception-like, and they will just blow your mind. So go see Doctor Strange. Very, very good. And I will say in closing, before we get to the next question, you'll get a appearance by a bigger named Marvel villain. I'm not, if you know Doctor Strange, you know who it is, but you do get to see said person. Derek Daniel also asked, since it's just you, do you still feel the same way about Arrow and Flash that you did after the first episode of each? I think the last 2 weeks, Flash has gotten a lot better. My issue with the Flash is that, and I'm going to try and stay as spoiler free as I can. You took the most popular and most known storyline of the Flash and you throw it away in one episode. I understand that it has repercussions, but I think you could have milked that for at least 4 or 5 episodes before you try and somewhat turn things back to normal. It kind of disappointed me from the start. It just felt very flat. But the last 2 episodes have been really good. My big issue with The Flash is that I can't get into the Barry-Iris relationship. I know it's supposed to happen. I don't know if it's the 2 actors, but they just don't do it for me. You know, I like Grant Gustin as the Flash. I like a lot of the characters. I like Caitlin. Cisco is funny to me. I like his pop culture references. But the saving grace for this season to me has been the greatness of Tom Cavanaugh. And I know me and Derek Daniel have a little bit of dispute on that, but he's up there on my man crush list. I love Tom Cavanaugh. He's been the best part of this entire show since it started. Seeing the different versions of Harrison Wells to me was hilarious and really kind of shows off Tom Cavanaugh's acting chops. So with all the changes that they've been doing, some of them I like, some of them not so much, but the changes kind of have to happen. And if you've watched The Flash, you know, if you've watched the newest season, then I think you know why they had to make the changes and that it makes the most sense logically. But, you know, it's getting better. So I'm excited to see where it goes. And Arrow to me has just been killing it. I've loved every episode that's come out. They've gone back to the basics. They've cut out all the crap, all the magic, all the stupid storylines from the last 2 seasons. And they've gone back to what made Arrow so good. And I've liked that Oliver's had to train a new team. It's kind of shown a different side of Oliver. Like we've seen, you know, Oliver Queen, the human. We've seen Green Arrow and how he kind of struggles with those 2 identities. But seeing him really in a leadership role as both Oliver and as the Green Arrow has really kind of added a new dimension to Oliver Queen's character. And, you know, I like his new team. I like that, you know, they're keeping around some of the veterans still, just in a little bit of a different role. I didn't mind the Felicity romance, even though I think it kind of took precedent over a lot of things, and I think that's really why a lot of the fans got pissed off about it. But that's really, you know, it's taken a back burner. I love where Arrow is going. I look forward to Arrow every single week. I love Flash too, but there's just always been something about Arrow that's appealed to me a little bit more than the Flash has. And to me, the issue with Flash is that season 1 was so good that you couldn't really go anywhere but down. So that's kind of it too. But, you know, I've liked both shows. I mean, Flash has started out a little slow for me, but the last 2 episodes have been really good. Nick Vikinghorn Computo, also a fellow co-host of mine on the Battle of the Brands wrestling podcast. Are you more excited about Nintendo Switch or being a millionaire? Well, if I was a millionaire, I could buy a Nintendo Switch. So I will say being a millionaire. Nick also asks, who would win in a TLC match, Adam Gumbert or Zach Dykes? Now, see, the heel versus heel matchups are always hard to pick. But I feel like Zach would go just a little bit farther. He would pull, you know, he would do just like he'd be a little more shady than Gumbert would. So I would take Zach in a close one. Who would win in a Hell in a Cell match, Nick Vikinghorn Caputo or Derek Daniel? And Derek Daniel replies, oh, Hell in a Cell? That's easy money for me. This would be entertaining as all get out. I think Derek Daniel would put up a heck of a fight, but I would take Nick to prevail in a very close and very physical Hell in a Cell match. See, and Adam gets in his question at the 11th hour. Since we had a good time with Jackbox during the stream, what are some of your favorite party games of all time? Could be video, board, or otherwise, but the most fun you have had with a group of people. As far as board games, Monopoly's always a classic. I haven't played Monopoly probably since college, but it takes a long time, but I love Monopoly. It's a game that I grew up loving. I remember playing Monopoly Junior and then upgrading to the classic. Mario Party is a lot of fun, especially if you get a few drunk people to play with. That's always fun. Let's see. What were some other ones? I had one on the top of my head and on the tip of my tongue, but this is more of an adult game, but Cards Against Humanity is hysterical. The phrases that people will match up and come up with are just so fun. And that's especially if you get a little bit of alcohol in people and you start a Cards Against Humanity game, you'll be going all night. And like the more family-friendly version of that, Apples to Apples, is a lot of fun too. So I like board games. I don't get to play them as much as I used to, but they're a lot of fun. And I love the Jackbox games. That was a great suggestion by Adam Gumbert. But that does it for episode 183 of the Nerd Cave podcast. I believe we were going around 40 minutes or so. Around 40, 42 minutes or so, which is a lot longer than the other solo podcast that I did, which those of you who watched or listened to that one, I definitely apologize because it was like 7 o'clock in the morning when I did it. I hadn't had coffee yet. I was kind of out of it still, but it was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching and listening. You can follow us all over social media. We're on Facebook. If you want to check out our awesome Facebook group, just search for Nerd Cave. We have all kinds of conversations that go on throughout the week. We have, links to videos, discussions about movies, all kinds of cool things. If you're a nerd and you love nerdy things, then hop on by and join the conversation. We're also on Twitter and Instagram at NerdCaveVids. Be sure to follow us there. You can check out all of our various podcasts throughout the week. Every Monday, we have Nerd Cave Retro with myself and Jason Robbins, where we discuss the world of retro gaming. We'll talk about this month in video game history, and we'll kind of alternate. Like 1 week, Jason will review an NES game, and the next week, I'll review an SNES game. Every Wednesday, we have Fantasy Football for Nerds with myself and Mr. Robbie Rawls. We break down all the matchups for that upcoming week of the NFL schedule, offer our fantasy advice, waiver pickups that you might need to win your league if you have somebody who's injured or on a bye week. Myself and Robbie have loved fantasy football. We've been playing for almost 10 years, so getting to do that podcast is a lot of fun. Thursdays, we have 2 shows. We have my solo show, The Derek Diamond Experience. It's kind of a combination of interviews and also roundtable discussions. Interviews, I've interviewed Claudia Wells, who was Jennifer Parker in the original Back to the Future. Most recently, Laura Hall, the piano player from Whose Line Is It Anyway, my all-time favorite show. All kinds of cool things. And we also do roundtable discussions. I'll bring a few friends on and we'll discuss things like 90s Nickelodeon, Cheers, Disney. It's a fun show. It's a really fun show to do. And we also have our newest addition to the podcast family, Battle of the Brands, our wrestling podcast, where myself and my co-hosts Adam Gumbert and Nick Caputo will review Raw and SmackDown and discuss which show was better this week. We'll also preview a pay-per-view if there is one, and we do all kinds of cool segments, mostly ones that Nick come up with. He's really good at that, so definitely check that out. On Fridays, we have this show, the Nerd Cave Podcast, and on Saturdays, we have our friends over at the Pop Culture Palette. Their show is similar to this one, where we discuss the latest news in nerd and pop culture. But if you want access to all of that stuff early, you can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/nerdcave. If you want to donate, that would be much appreciated. All the expenses go to us getting new equipment, getting to better do the things that we love to do. And we have all kinds of different tiers. If you just donate $1, you get an exclusive bonus episode. We do a new one every month. It's always available on the first of every month. If you do $5 or more, you get early access to not just this podcast, but all the other podcasts on our network. And you can get early access to, the YouTube versions and so on and so forth. There's all kinds of different tiers. You can just go to patreon.com/nerdcave and check out all of the tiers there. And you can check out our 2 YouTube channels. We have youtube.com/nerdcave, where you can find this podcast in its video form. We also break it up into segments throughout the week, and the full version is available on Fridays. And we have Nerd Cave Gaming, where we have all Let's Plays and videos we do that are related to video game news. You can check out there. That is a lot of stuff for one person to plug. I'm used to having Zach do one, and then Robbie do one, and then I'll do one. So I'm already out of breath. My voice is kind of starting to go a little bit. If I kind of stammered a little bit or had to stop and pause, a few times, I do apologize for that, as I said at the top of the show. Fighting a sinus infection for the last couple of weeks, so hopefully I can get that taken care of soon. Thank you guys. Thank you to everyone who helped out with Extra Life. Thank you to everyone who donated for Extra Life. And you can still donate. Just go to nerdcavenetwork.com/extralife, and you can find out more information there. Thank you to everyone for watching and listening to this podcast. All of our other content, be it other podcasts or our YouTube videos, we appreciate everything that you guys do, and we do it all for you, because if there was no audience, there would be no Nerd Cave. So on behalf of Zach and Robbie, this is Derek saying, have a week.